Well, good morning, everybody. It's Steven with JSR Outdoors. So, if you've been around the channel a little bit, you know we haven't posted much. And if you've been hanging around, you've been subscribed, and you haven't unsubscribed at this point, thank you. Thanks for really hanging in there. You might have forgotten that we were even here, but thank you anyway. So you're probably wondering where we've been. Well, I've been posting a lot more to Instagram just because it's a little bit easier to start building up a following. So now that we do have a little bit of a following there and we're able to start trying to drive some more traffic over to our YouTube channel, we're going to pick back up and I'm going to start posting to both platforms now. So with that being said, I do want to do a follow-up video to my Spypoint Link Evo Complete review. Now, I recorded that video when I first bought the camera back in probably December or maybe even January of this year. So I've had it in the field for quite some time now, and I've really gotten to know the camera. I've really gotten to know the little quirks. I've gotten to know, I'm not going to say everything about it, but most scenarios I have experienced, and I've even had to go through warranty. So my opinions changed slightly, but I wanted to do a follow-up so that way I can tell you what it's like having the camera 9 months later. Now, I don't regret buying the camera at all. It has given me some really good insight into where I hunt. It allows me to pattern any game that's coming in. And honestly, once you have it set up right, it's very minimal maintenance. So when I first started, I ran everything off of AA batteries. I learned quickly after that a AA battery is not a good idea for a trail camera, especially if you were wanting to get pictures all the time. Slowly and surely after that, I upgraded and bought a 12-volt battery, and then I learned that the 12-volt battery has to be charged somehow because it still eats through the battery. I would say the 12-volt battery lasted a solid 3 weeks before I had to pick it up and take it in and charge it. So then I added a solar charger. So I want you all to take a look at what my setup looks like now and what I have. I decided, you know what, it's time. I'm gonna have to make this thing a little bit more portable rather than just sitting in one location all the time. So what I did was built a 4x4, put a 2x4 arm on it, and I literally attached the camera to it, put the solar panel on where it needs to go, and then I hung the 12-volt battery, have all the wiring, have everything there. So you saw how it looks. It's not anything pretty, but it is effective. It allows me to dig a little post hole real quick, put it where it needs to go, and then it sets. And something else I've learned too, and didn't really quite realize before, was you have to move the camera or at least reposition your solar panel depending on where it's at. Each time of year, the sun is going to be a different position. So with this vlog being for the budget-minded outdoorsman, I'll tell you where I got it. I'll tell you what I paid for it. And I'm going to give you some tips on where to shop for that stuff a little later in the video. So anyway, my review of the camera. It started out working great. Everything did work the way it should. Then I ran into an issue. It wouldn't transmit. So I wasn't sure what to do, did a little bit of research, tried to look online. Well, you know, when the camera's not working the way it should, Honestly, the best thing to do, take out the SD card, pop it in a computer. If you have had the camera, you know that when you go into it, there's an application that runs on your PC. If you'll go into that application, you hit factory reset, put it back into the camera, it does its thing. Now you have to reset your settings again, but hey, not a big deal. So I've learned that when it's not doing what it's supposed to, reset. And there are periods of time where you have to do a firmware update. Their website is very specific on how to do it and how to process it, like down to how many minutes you need to wait before you do this and how many minutes you need to do for this next step. So it's worked out really well for me. I've done 1 or 2 firmware updates on it, and also I did send my original camera back in for warranty. Now the reason being, I did the firmware updates, I did everything for it, and it still wouldn't transmit. So I called Spypoint, explained to them what was going on. They said, hey, look, with 1 bar service, you're really not going to transmit pictures. I was like, well, look at the transmissions. They're like, oh, well, yeah, no, we see that you've gotten, 2,000-3,000 pictures a month, and all of a sudden it quit. So they're able to look back at that, and they're able to look and see how much the camera's transmitting and what all it's doing. So pretty thorough on their part, and I will say that their warranty process was very easy. All I did was reach out to the vendor that I purchased it from. They sent me a receipt online. I sent the original receipt over to Spypoint via email, and they shipped out another one, no questions asked. And so overall, warranty process, very easy, and honestly just wasn't a lot of hassle for me. Now, I will tell you this, the Spypoint accessories, they're a little bit more expensive. So as I mentioned before, I want to show you what accessories you can get and how to save $1 or $2 with that. So let's take a look. All right, guys, so the first thing I did was come to Amazon, and you can see where I've already searched some of the stuff, but you can see where I searched 4G LTE antenna and came to this Bingfu 4G LTE outdoor antenna. Looked at it, looks pretty standard to me. So looked at that, and then I went ahead and scrolled down to the comments and questions so you can see where other people have asked about this and what answers they've gotten. And then you can also go through and see what some of their people's setups look like and really just get an idea of what people have done with it. It has mixed reviews, but it's worked well for me, and it's 20 bucks. And the next accessory I want you to look at is the HME Trail Camera 12 volt solar auxiliary power pack. So you can pick this guy up for $54.99 versus Spypoint's at $49.99. And the one from HME includes a solar panel. So Spypoint's solar panel is $40. Then you have to buy their battery pack. That was $50. And you would also need to have the antenna. Their antenna is the one that's like 70 bucks. Yeah, so there it is, $77. So if you were to buy those 3 from Spypoint or the one that's recommended for it, you're going to spend between 155 to 170 bucks. Or if you choose these 2 accessories, you're going to be looking at like $75 total. So as you can see, those accessories are very general, but they will work. I use the 4G LTE antenna when I started experiencing a little bit more cellular issues out where we're at. And it wasn't the camera that was having the issue, it was the cell provider in the area, because I would experience the same thing on my cell phone when I was in the blind. So I added that, and then I did purchase the recommended parts that were in those comments. So if you are looking at that antenna, make sure you read through the comments and some of the reviews. That way you pick up everything you need. And then the battery is something that you can pick up because that's just for a standard 12 volt battery. And the great thing with that is that the camera itself just has a standard 12 volt plug. There's not anything specific to it. So those are probably the 2 most crucial things you're gonna want to add if you have decided to purchase this camera. 1, it's gonna allow you to have a charge all the time and you don't have to worry about it. 2, you just don't want to go mess with it all the time. You know, when you've got a busy week and you've got this and that, the camera's the last thing you want to go worry about and having to reset. And hopefully you seeing these accessories and understanding how the camera works will help you decide if this is a purchase you want to make or not. Now, if you are still a little unclear how the camera works, go ahead and watch my first review. I'm a little bit more thorough on my thoughts. So I do want to dive in and show you how the application works. Application works great. It's honestly probably the easiest thing to navigate. So let's take a look at that. All right, guys, welcome to the Spypoint app. So probably one of the easier apps to navigate, not real hard. As you can see at the top, it displays the camera. Now where that drop down is right up here is right here. That's where you would go if you're going to have multiple cameras on the plan. Something you can do. I don't know what the plans cost, but that's something you would want to look on spypoint.com for. As you can see, there are several filters up here. I'm not going to go through all of them. Just basically what the filters do is it filters by the animal that it has a picture of. So if you have a moose, it's a moose. If it's a hog, it's a hog. If it's a buck, it's a buck. So it has that tracker and allows you to do that so that way you can quickly see your pictures and not have to go through all 300 or 400 that you could have had transmitted the night before or that day. So I'm going to jump over to the status tab. And what this section is going to do right here is it's going to give you all the information you need for the camera. So one, it's going to tell you what your signal strength is, what your battery percentage is at, and also what your SD card percentage is. So I have roughly 31% taken up on my card, and I am using a 32 gig card. Also your model number, your rev information. So that's going to be the software that's installed on it, last communication date, pictures that it's transmitted this month, temperature, last installation, and also the battery type. Moving over to the settings tab, this is going to be where you program your camera. So right now mine is set in video mode, instantly transmits, sensitivity is set to high. It will take a photo first before it takes a video, and it's set to a 10-second video because one, the longer the video, the more it will take up on my card. Cellular setup is to transmit at 6 p.m. one time a day. Now, I don't use the advanced options. All I have in here is the date and time format and also the hour. So I like to have the 12-hour format, not military time. And there's some other options down here. You can reset it to default settings or use the buck tracker. The buck tracker basically is what it sounds like. It's a buck tracker. Then you can also turn around and go over here to your photos tab. And like I've shown you before, it gives you dates, it gives you filters, and it also allows you to jump in. And yes, those are dogs. Unfortunately, they come through every now and then. It's a little irritating, but it happens. Anyway, it allows you to go into a picture viewer like this, and you can also flip it over here to the side. I want you to see what the app looks like as if you were looking at a phone, but you can see a bunch of coons and that you get a pretty decent picture. All right, guys. So all in all, you can see it's a good setup. The accessories I'm recommending are not very expensive. These are something that you could add at any point in time. Now, I recommend you add it first. If you're going to put in the money, go ahead and spend a little bit extra and get the extra things to go with it. Anyway, the experience I had was that it would transmit a few, and then all of a sudden I would be out there, pull a card, and then turn around and put the card back in, and all of a sudden the transmit folder is full of stuff, and like I'm getting pictures, boom, 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 boom. It is giving me notifications, my phone's going crazy. So sometimes it just doesn't have enough signal to transmit all of it at some times. It takes a lower quality image to transmit over cellular data. Text messages cannot have a full-blown, I think the camera's 48 megapixel, so it can't have a full-blown 48 megapixel image. So that camera is taking HD photos. You can't transmit those over text message. When you do, your phone auto adjusts the size of that so that way it can send. It's pretty much the same thing the camera's doing. It's adjusting the size of the picture so that way it can transmit it to you. It's not meant to give you the top quality picture. That's what the SD card's for. Now, if you are thinking, hey, I've got an SD card and it was in my cell phone, I've got an adapter for it, let me use that. Go ahead and just don't. Spend an extra $1 or $2. You can pick up a 32 gig SD card for the camera and a really good one for like $7. So the camera does have to have a full-size SD card, not a micro SD card with an adapter. Another thing I found out too, because I was going to try and use one from my other camera, and no, it didn't work. So pick up one of those 32 gig cards and you should be set. So let me recap for you. You've seen how the app works. Very, very easy. They've added a lot to it since I did my first review. In my first review, I was actually showing you what it looked like online. 2, if you're going to purchase accessories, get the ones I'm recommending if you want to save $1 or $2. Now, if you don't mind spending the extra money, get the Spypoint accessories. But like I said, with the 12-volt battery, it's standard. There's not anything specific about it. It's not a proprietary adapter, nothing at all. It's literally a standard 12-volt plug. They do that so that way they can keep the cost of the camera lower. 2, if you want to increase your chances of having transmissions, go ahead and invest into the antenna. The antenna's got a huge cord. It can be run up to 100 feet, I believe. Mine's literally sitting a couple feet above it. I don't need it 100 foot in the air, and nor do I want to set up something like that. Like I said, I made mine a little bit more portable. 3, if you are on the fence about buying the camera and you're between some of the others, so here's what I'll tell you. Go check out the other providers' price plans. Spypoint's pretty inexpensive. It's like 10 or 15 bucks a month and you get unlimited photos. 10 bucks a month, I mean, you know, you stop and buy a Coke every day? Okay, that Coke is what, $2? Stop buying a Coke and you can pay for your camera. It's pretty cheap. So, you know, you might see $15 and be like, I won't pay for that. But you know what? If that $15 a month puts you on a trophy buck or puts you on a boar that you've been hunting for 6, 7, 8 months, actually, I've got one for you. My camera allowed me to finally take a trophy boar that I've been hunting for 8 or 9 months. So let's take a look at it. That big old boy finally slipped up. I hunted this pig for 8 months. I would be in the stand. I knew he was going to be there that night. But guys, pigs are smart. They're said to be smarter than dogs, but they're smart. This one was an old boar. He was real smart. And he would literally sit at the tree line and wait for me to leave. It sucked every time. And then I even trapped him at some point. He climbed out of my trap. I mean, literally got on his hind legs, pushed up, and just shimmied his way over that cattle panel. Climbed out of my trap. And then he didn't show up. Well, then I started noticing him coming back on camera. I was able to pattern him this time. Well, I went and sat out one night and I got him. So I'm having that Euro mounted. That was the pig I have hunted and hunted and hunted. He's a trophy. So there are some other things that helped with that hunt, and I will be uploading videos soon to explain what I'm doing now that's made me a little bit more effective in the field as well too. So anyways, guys, that's all I've got for you. Thanks for watching this. It's the follow-up video, like I said, to the Spypoint Link Evo Complete review that I first did. I've had the camera for 9 months. I'm still a believer. Anyways, thanks for watching the video. Make sure you subscribe to our channel and, you know, hit that bell icon. That way you can get a notification every time we have a new upload. And also check us out on Instagram. It's at JSR Outdoors ETX. That's where I've got a lot of the content posted right now. Follow us on there. I do post pretty frequently. And I'm going to start posting pretty frequently on here too. But like I said, that's all I've got for you, and I'll catch you on the next video, guys.